And welcome to this very special video where we'll be talking about Microsoft Build updates from 2025. Now, it's the end of the week, the Build week. Even I'm still struggling to keep up with all of the announcements, the new solutions, the new capabilities, the new tools. And I thought, wouldn't it be good to have more of the high-level approach, more of a strategic approach, I guess, not just from the announcements from Microsoft, but also for you in your organization as well. So how do these updates really matter? Now, I'm really not going to have time to go through every single announcement because there's even more than this one page that I've got on here. If you want to see all of the high-level news, you can use the book of news from Build, which the link is at the bottom here. But let's talk through some of the elements that I've got highlighted on the screen here and why I believe these are super important. Now, this first one, this full authoring, which allows you to have like distraction-free interface for building agents, I think is really key because, as you know, agents are going to be powering all of our organizations across the world. So there's going to be multi-agents, and we'll jump into that in a little bit. But the reason why I think this was something to call out is just showing you the focus that is required in order to do the implementation, the design, and the actual testing of these agents as well. So that will support like deep focus, higher quality design work, especially around complex agents. And then it will empower agents and teams to work together more efficiently, be more creative. And I think that's crucial for every organization that wants to scale their AI footprint. The next one down here under Enterprise Process Transformation is expanding the knowledge types. So Microsoft announced a lot more capabilities to expand these knowledge sources. And what that means for those AI agents is they have a lot more grounding in information inside your business, or expanding out to knowledge sources outside of your organization, maybe the internet, or even line of business applications. So the reason why this is cool is some of the announcements were now OneDrive for Business is supported, SharePoint lists, Dataverse, Salesforce, and many, many more as well. And the reason why this is strategic is it really breaks down those data silos, enabling agents to deliver richer, more accurate responses. It's a foundational step, I believe, going towards more enterprise-wide AI, which is every organization's dream. And that really understands the knowledge that's within your business, so the business context of that. And that is super key. Under publishing and integration, now there was two under here I wanted to call out. And you might be thinking, well, Graham, why are you calling out WhatsApp? Surely that's just something you can do in a web app. Well, you can. You could do that through Power Platform before, but now there's native support for WhatsApp. And what that means for businesses is they can use these AI agents that are now publicly facing to their customers. So they can interact with these agents in a multitude of ways, whether it's on a website or through a web app or through WhatsApp now, and be able to integrate into that organization and be able to retrieve information or even do task-based actions off the back of that agent as well. And I think that's super key, especially for organizations that want to use these AI agents in different ways, not just internally, but that's going to be a dominant communication that is ubiquitous across any customer. You know, most people have access to WhatsApp globally. I think this move really allows organizations to meet customers actually where they are rather than diverting them to their website. Especially for high volume support or outreach scenarios. And this will require less like content switching or app switching as well, which I think is key. And the last one down here around custom engine agents, this allows a pro code capability to deploy custom agents across Microsoft 365 services. And the reason why that's key is you can have multi-channel agents with complete control over orchestration within these agents. You can use AI models, you can use data integrations. And again, that's going to be strategic because this is going to be highly tailored solutions for things like regulated industries or complex workflows. And this is going to be super powerful, embedding AI deeply into your business processes. My most favorite announcement, I think, of Build was the announcement for multi-agent support. Probably second to that is MCP, so Model Context Protocol. But this allows you now to have a set of agents in a multi-agent workflow So for example, if you were working on work binning or bids and tenders, you're going to have specialized agents that do part of those tasks or that specialism. So now you're going to be able to call from one agent to another in order to get its specialism, its knowledge, its grounding in that information that you need, and be able to orchestrate that back into something that's collectively built to produce the end product. I think that's going to be super key. Every organization needs to win more work, especially using AI empowered bid processes. I think that's going to be key, but also making sure that you're combining this with other announcements from Build as well, things like Copilot tuning. So that's where you can train an AI model in order to be fully fledged within your organization, as in now it understands your concepts, your business, the way that you talk, your tone of voice. I think this is going to be really key in when you're presenting back to your customers or back to that bid process, it being able to understand fully your organization rather than just being grounded in a couple of documents. Now you're going to have fully fine-tuned, or the ability to have fine-tuned models which are specific to you and your organization, which I think is super key. And just to cover off the last few, I think these are key because every organization that I speak to are still a little bit confused about when to use what when it comes to agents. So we're using the power of the Microsoft ecosystem, the whole technology stack, to provide these types of agents and their capabilities like their tools. So when you're building agents, you might want to think, well, how complex is this? Are we just grounding information from SharePoint? Cool. You could have a SharePoint agent, or you could have a declarative agent. But if you want to create more bespoke, more custom, production-ready agents within your environment, then you might want to use a cross-platform agent. And that's going to use a combination of Copilot Studio or services from Azure, for example, like Foundry, being able to bring all of that information into one and then use that across your workspace, across M365, I think is going to be key. It's going to make life a lot easier for your employees using these agents as well, because they gain access to that information where they work. So if they're sat within Teams or Outlook, for example, they gain access to the same agent capabilities as they would if they were over in a web app or Azure or in another application. And towards the bottom here, a couple of other things to call out. A lot of organizations want to know, like, so what? Like, I've built an agent, it does this thing for me. I already do this thing manually today, but what's really the return on investment in actually building these AI agents? I want to be able to see that. I want to be able to report on that. So Microsoft's done an awesome job in building those extra analytics, being able to see and visualize the consumption of these agents, like who's using it, why, and then using that information then to build even better agents or multi-agents, as we discussed before. Unlike with any technology that you're building, you want to be able to test and evaluate that these agents are working correctly. So there's extra capabilities there as well. Just going to switch away from the slides for a second. Like within the Microsoft Docs, if you go to learn.microsoft.com, all of this information is embedded within the docs now. You just have to go away and find those announcements. So key things here, which I'll put in the description below, is around the 2025 Wave 1 for Power Platform. Like this page alone gives you an overview about all of the enhancements, things like Microsoft Fabric, Power Automate updates, Copilot Studio, of course, AI Builder, which is like super awesome, especially around now the document analytics, being able to train the system, a bit like Syntax, I guess. Been trained of certain documents and be able to pull out that information in a structured way in JSON, which is super nice. Been able to see the updates as well from the blog posts. So this is talking about the knowledge sources that I mentioned. So Azure AI Search is now fully available. So that's generally available, which is sweet. And other connections into Salesforce, ServiceNow, Landesk. There's going to be a ton more enterprise connectors, so you can bring that information in to your organization and then being able to use this as a retrieval agent or an action agent to update those line of business applications. Next was around the investment areas. I took this website, this page, about the updates again, But there were just some key things to call out here, especially around being able to publish these agents, how to use things like topics and orchestration together for more kind of structured responses to a human being or a structured approach for a business process. I think this is a key read as well. Custom engine agents that we talked about, being able to use either low code or pro code development toolkits. Now there's an API for Copilot Studio as well. So again, I'll put this link in to the description below so you can have a read of that. Multi-agent orchestration, like I've been waiting so long, well, let's say so long, but 6 months for this feature to come. Just being able to have one orchestration agent that's able to call on other agents in its periphery, being able to bring in those expertise, I think is going to be super cool. I definitely have to write some architecture or topology diagrams on this. That's going to be another future video, I think, but I can have a look at that. And then we talked about the whole sort of ecosystem. I mentioned this earlier on, but when we're talking to customers around agents, we just don't want to think of an agent that's going to be like an internal retrieval agent to find information a lot better. Yes, it can do that, but it can do a lot more things as well. And in the advent of MCP, so Model Context Protocol, which I've done another video on in the past, now you're able to use that open standard and then bring in that connectivity, not just with an agent, but within Microsoft Windows, within GitHub, for example. So you're going to be able to access a lot more information than you ever have before. So if you've got an agent helping you and it's got access to the MCP servers, like calling out to these other services, these other AI agents, whether it's an external government API, these MCP servers are going to be able to bring all of that information in. So the world, our future is going to look very different to what it looks like today. So no longer do we have to go to Bing or Google to find information based on keywords. We're going to use these AI agents to find that information in a more cohesive way. And these last 2 pages, I think, were going to be key. Understanding the agent lifecycle, the application lifecycle of an agent is going to be, well, required, I think. As these models change, the underlying models change over time, so are your agents. So the instructions you provide are going to be changed. That's why you need to architect those in a certain way. So you're changing just the elements that you need to change as part of that ongoing life cycle of the agent. This is, again, a common ask from my customers. Like, yeah, we can build an agent, but how do we test this thing? How do we know it's working? How do we analyze that it is providing the business value that we said it was? So there's going to be a lot more reporting that you can go in here. There's some new dashboards. So again, I thought this was really key to bring up within this video. And lastly, all around those Viva Insights. So we've got Viva Insights already, especially around monitoring M365 Copilot and some agents, but now Microsoft's gone in and actually enhanced this further. So keep an eye on this page as well. This is going to be updated even more. So definitely bookmark this page as well. Just keep you on top of all of your agents that you're actually creating. And that's all we've got time for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm going to maybe spend this weekend to sit down, watch all of the videos that are now published onto YouTube as well as part of Build, and just ingest all of this information. Because I can see the next sort of 6 months just catapulting us into using these agents. It'll just become a norm in the future. So thank you very much for your time, and I will see you in the next one.